might seem like an odd comparison at first, because these cars are not in the same price category. One is 10 years newer, and they're not even in the same size category. But it has been interesting driving a full-size sedan, the Model S, electric, very modern, and then actually going back to a 2009 3 Series. In particular, it's just a 328, but it has a sport suspension. And I guess the point is, while I really love both cars, I actually find the BMW more fun to drive, and yet it costs 1/10 the price. And don't get me wrong, nothing can beat the all-electric motor of the Tesla and the acceleration, and it is obviously the future. Driving the gas BMW definitely feels like going back to the past and feels sort of clunky. But the steering and the handling and actually just the overall enjoyment of driving, I prefer the BMW. Now, maybe that's not fair. Maybe that is because the BMW is so much smaller and lighter. I've only driven a Model 3 a little bit, so that would be a more fair comparison. That being said, when you're talking about dollar per, I don't know, car fun, again, yeah, at 1/10 the cost, a used BMW is hard to beat. Okay, I just said I preferred a 12-year-old 3 Series that costs like $10,000 versus a relatively new 2017 or brand new Model S that costs $100,000. Am I crazy? Well, let me explain what I mean. It's about value. So the thing that I'm trying to answer is the Tesla 10 times better than the BMW? And this sort of goes back to even when Elon Musk was just making Tesla start and talking about the power of disruption and how do you disrupt an incumbent, industry, that you really need a product that is 10 times better than the existing one to overcome that threshold. And so that's why I think it's an interesting comparison, comparing these two cars because of the price difference and these things. And the fact of the matter is, yeah, the Tesla is the nicer car. Of course it is. But is it 10 times better? I really don't think it is. I don't think it actually meets that metric. Now, funny enough, I'm happy that they were still able to disrupt though. So even though I don't think Tesla achieved the 10x improvement, and I'm actually surprised that they've been successful and they've sold so well, I'm really happy that they did because it's way better for the industry. It's way better for the environment. It's way better for us as consumers. They are driving the innovation and causing these other car manufacturers to make electric cars, and I love that. And I still love what the Tesla's doing. There are just some things that are missing that you'd really expect in this price category and such that really would make it 10 times better. I want the Tesla to be 10 times better, and I think it could get there, but it's just missing a few things. Now, a lot of these things I've already covered in another video on the driving dynamics. I'm not going to repeat them here. I sort of want to talk more about the comparison to BMW to Tesla, because I think it's a good one, even more so than like Tesla versus Prius or some electric environmental car. And the good thing, what I love about Tesla is they are trying to push the boundary on handling and performance and show that electric cars, they're not just environmentally friendly cars, but they're actually better cars. Electric cars are better for the environment and better for you as a driver. And I believe that. And the point of this video, what I'm trying to say is, we're just not there yet. I want us to get there, but there's some missing pieces. That being said, some of the improvement you see right away and is besides the electric, but the change of design of the cockpit. And so this is from a 2017 640i, which is another great car, obviously much more expensive than the 3 Series I mentioned. And I had this for a while. And so it's interesting. So on the one hand, the materials and the fit and finish of this interior is much better than the Tesla. Everything's more solid and arguably beautiful and things like that. On the other hand, you'll notice it's so cluttered. I mean, there's so many buttons, there's so many dials. And so in addition to the electric improvement that Tesla brings. I do love the minimalist design aesthetic that they've brought to their interior and just rethinking things, reducing clutter, reducing buttons. And I think that is also positive for the industry as well. Now, it could be argued maybe Tesla took it too extreme because sometimes you do want a dedicated button or a tactile button, and sometimes the touchscreen has its own issues. That being said, in general, the touchscreen is quite good, and they did some novel things using the large screen to actually make it work in a driving situation, even though honestly touchscreens are bad for when you're driving because you have to look at them, right? And it distracts. But Tesla they reduced the number of taps, which is great because they have this huge screen. So it's usually just one tap or at most two taps to get where you need. As for the BMW, although you have the iDrive, which is tactile, which is great, and it's designed that way so you can look ahead and you can just feel with your hand and twist the knob and do the whole iDrive thing. The problem, particularly in the older ones, the screen is so small, you have to go through so many navigation steps and kind of spin that thing that it actually perhaps becomes more distracting in the long term, or at least more frustrating. And you will notice, of course, so the car I chose to replace my Tesla may come as a shock to many of you, a 10-year-old car. But there's something nice about a used car and, well, about saving money and just spending money on other things. But you will notice, of course, as much as I sort of rag on the Tesla or critique it, I also didn't buy a new BMW. And although I looked at the new 3 Series and I think they're great and everything, it's almost the opposite. They also feel maybe not quite worth the value because of their incremental improvements. Sure, a new 3 Series is better than the used one, but if you look at that price difference, is it 5 times better? And my conclusion was no, that actually the old 3 Series is quite a nice car and it's pretty good. So, both the new 3 Series, it's improving on what BMW already does well, but it's not that radical. It's just minor improvements. On the other hand, Tesla, you do have this like radical things that no other car can do, and it's exciting, it's electric, but then all these shortcomings that come with that, both with range and also the issues of fit and finish and quality control and noise. And so I guess where I'm kind of coming to is I just wish there were better cars. I wish BMW pushed more into electric and was more innovative. I wish Tesla would figure out their fit and finish issues, because then I would spend the money, on these cars, either to lease again or to buy. But until either company figures it out, it doesn't seem worth it to me, and I'm going to go back to a used car. And I did strongly consider getting a Model 3. That is probably the closest car that I'd like the most because it probably handles more like a 3 Series, and I'd probably like that. I tend to like smaller cars and still having sort of the electric and tech advantage of the Tesla. But I wasn't sure that they had really solved the road noise or the fit and finish, the manufacturing issues, and I don't particularly like the look of the Model 3. It's okay, but it's not great. And I think, again, when you're paying more than 50 grand for a car, all these little things matter. What I am really excited about then is the future. I really think the next 5 years are going to be the most exciting for the automotive industry maybe ever. I think the next 5 years are going to be way more exciting than the last 5 years. We're finally going to get electric cars, and the battery cost of the battery is going to go down so that we're hitting more than 400-mile range, and the price is coming down. Or you could get a 250-mile range car for much, much cheaper than even a gasoline car in any capacity. And so I really think the adoption of EV is going to grow, and that is going to be exciting. But I really hope that both Tesla can up their game, aesthetic, and BMW and traditional manufacturers can up their game on like electric range and innovation, and as well as simplifying and rethinking, the interior and providing a better driver experience. I think both the new BMW i4 and the iX are exciting. I think they're great first steps. They're still not totally what I would like. If you look at the range estimates, the i4 is expected to have 290 miles range. The iX, probably something similar, maybe 300. And, that's okay. It's not great. I think the magic number on all these cars is 400 miles. Once you hit 400 miles, I mean, that's it. You don't need any more than that, because that's about as far as most people drive before you want to brake on a road trip anyways. So in any case, for now, I'm going to keep waiting, and I'll probably continue buying used BMWs because the value is so good. And then once the electric range and costs and things go up, consider a Model 3. Ironically, with Tesla, used Teslas don't make a lot of sense. I know they talk about how they keep their value, but that's actually not true, because once the new Tesla that has the better range, the better capacity, it's so much better. The old ones, their value tanks. So again, I kind of want to wait for that range to really hit 400 miles, I think is the threshold. And that's, I think that's the dream, when you have an electric car with good fit and finish and things like that, and 400-mile range for 40K. Well, then it's game over for gas cars. And so I'm excited for either BMW or Tesla to get there first. And so we'll just see what happens. So for right now, though, what do we do? Well, certainly, yes, Tesla is the future, but I think we're not quite there yet. On the other hand, if you want that emotional response, that emotional connection, and just like that joy that you get when you hop in the car and having all the little things right, and the sound of the doors close, and the way the windows go up, or even like in the 6 Series, the soft touch doors, so that if it's slightly ajar, it just sucks in the door. Well, for all of that, you still want a BMW. And so I found a lot of fun out of this old BMW, or even driving this new one, that you just don't quite get in the Tesla, because the Tesla just feels more stiff. So yes, the future is electric and Tesla's leading the charge, but for just enjoyment, and well, sadly, if you don't care about the environment as much, BMW, even though they're gas cars, is still more fun to drive. Just everything about it is really nice. I know that sounds vague, but what I mean is the engine power band is, not crazy fast, but fast and smooth and responsive. Transmission, very smooth. The shift points just sort of feel right. The steering is not super edgy. This isn't a track car, but it's a touring car, and it's great at that. And it's just a lot of fun to drive, and it's practical to drive in real world situations. It has enough of the comforts, along with the performance that you expect out of a BMW.